Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. It's slightly different today. I decided to do my live in a slightly different way. So I have a coffee cup, but I also have a very dear friend, Liam Doherty, who is here with me because we just had this impromptu idea. Let me just turn my emails off. We had this impromptu idea. Well, I
Hi
did
everybody,
today.
welcome
Oh,
to my channel. It's slightly different today. Decided
I'm repeating myself. Um, we decided today. The guides kind of gave me this intuition, and I invited Liam because Liam and I are astrologers. I'm an intuitive astrologer, but he is an astrologer. He's absolutely fantastic, and we often have these conversations together where we are bouncing ideas about what's happening in the collective. You know, we're both channels. I'll let him tell you about himself in a second, but I always follow my guidance, and he actually happened to be free today. And I just asked him a couple of hours ago. I said, "Oh, do you fancy coming on my channel and us having a beautiful conversation to help you guys understand a little bit more about what's going on right now?" Because we know that many of you are experiencing big purging. The body is definitely healing itself right now, and we're also having situations come up in our life which are beautiful indications of what perhaps we need to let go of. So, you know me, obviously, I'm a galactic channel. I'm known as a spiritual scientist as well. And Liam, just introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Susan, and thank you for having me here today.
You're welcome.
So, I'm a musical artist, and I've released an album which was actually out in April called Galactic Miracle. So, it just ties into the whole galactic theme here.
Does.
So yeah, that's we're always complementing each other in terms of like the work that the work that we do, and it's about conscious work, and I think that that's the most important thing. So no matter what the medium is there's always a level of synchronicity with the conscious work that we do. And obviously I love astrology like Susan, and I'm very much into engaging with astrology, and I also do lots of different things regarding healing modalities, from psychic readings to astrology charts and palmistry and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, there's a breadth of knowledge, experience, and passion there, and I think that's the most important thing there.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's me. If you want to check out anything, it's I'm Liam Doherty Artist on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Yeah, he does loads. But it is exciting because what's really great having a friend like Liam is that if something's going on in the planets and what's going on in the world, it's like, oh, Liam, what do you think about this? And we'll both sit together and we'll get our charts up on astro.com, and I'll look at his chart and I'll tune in for him, and he will look at my chart and tune in for me, because we're both obviously intuitively guided to these things. And as you know, or you may or may not know, I run new moon and full moon events as part of my work, which we just had the full moon in Virgo. And Liam, I mean, I mean, what I'm kind of sensing is it's a bit like a rocket, isn't it? I mean, it's been for everybody, this full moon in Virgo that we just had and we're still in the throes of. It's been like a rocket. I mean, so
Oh
many
gosh, yeah,
people, including ourselves, have experienced such dramatic things. Would you say quite
yeah,
dramatic?
definitely
Yeah,
dramatic. There's been this sort of hit to everybody where it's just been like a huge bolt of lightning coming out of nowhere, and
yeah,
it's like wow, and it really has just thrown up so much for so many people. And I'm not talking about just sort of like mental, in the mental realm, which of course Mercury is ruled by, because it's
yeah,
the ruler of of Mercury, there's been a lot of purging that's gone on an emotional basis, on a spiritual basis, and in terms of just people really sort of going, hold on a second,
Yeah.
am I moving in the right direction here? And if not, what's been happening that's actually got me to where I am now, and what do I really have to look at? And some of it is very unpleasant, you know.
Absolutely, but also the
Yeah,
Pluto stuff. If you think about, we just stepped into the Pluto in Aquarius. I think most people know that. And I don't know about you, but I feel like it's almost like the guides are kind of showing me like there's been a shovel and they've dug in the ground and they've gone, here you go, it's something you didn't look at. And then you think of the Neptune. I mean, I wonder if it might be helpful to share screen and just share a chart with people
yeah,
just
that
to
would be
maybe
amazing.
talk about, just talk about the transits because not everyone understands. Let's put the transits on. Hold on one
And
sec.
also some of the terminology, we can sort of get a bit sort of swamped up in all that. I mean, I
Yeah,
mentioned, something to do with being psychic, but we're all psychic because we're all intuitive, and it's just another word
we're
without any
all
labels or
one.
judgment. Yeah,
All one. We're like not. There's no separation, and no one is. Just because we're talking about this, and we happen to have accessed a memory of knowing about astrology and about the
yeah.
planets, it doesn't mean that you haven't. And that's a really good point, Liam. So
And it's also about sharing. All of us have something to share together, and with,
yeah,
one is not part of the collective. One is a small fraction of the whole. Everybody's got something to share, even if it's your frequency as you come in, even if you want to be silent, even if you're in a group setting, remember that it's your frequency that counts. And we're moving into this new world. Pluto and Aquarius is about frequency.
and and saying about the new Earth, like if we look at the old Earth and the new Earth. I used to think, before the guides explained it to me, I used to think that there was an old Earth and a new Earth, and that we would move away from it. But what I
Yeah,
actually now know is that it's actually almost like melding and fusing together. And
yeah,
so it's not that we are all of a sudden going to jump, onto another, planet. If we imagine it as two balls, of a planet, we're not going to jump onto that planet. It's almost like a seamless kind of experience. But I definitely feel now that this seamless experience, if we've got anything that is not of that new frequency, I think this has been a really pivotal time for it to come up, don't you?
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, another way that people might like to sort of maybe visualize that whole aspect of the new Earth is the previous one under Capricorn. Obviously, was when Pluto was in Capricorn, was very much about the egoic mindset. So it's
Uh-huh.
all about the I
Yeah.
am, and it was like what you possess, what you look like, all these sort of very sort of tangible things. It was all about the tangibility. The
Well,
new Earth,
the human
yeah.
things, really, like the human, like my legs, my arms, my head, like this is who I am. But actually, that's not who you are, right?
But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with that. But
No.
it's when it becomes, the only thing that we live through. And of course,
Yeah.
the new earth is about living through the heart and the intuition, and that's the difference here. So it's about,
Humanity.
how,
Humanity.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It's about the people, isn't it? It's about everyone. It's about all is one, and also, would you say though that Pluto in Capricorn would be also quite governmenty, and we did
yes,
notice, that also be careful about my words on here, on YouTube, but we did notice that there was more of a control and structure, and trying to put structures in and control over that period of time, and now perhaps that's changing, right?
absolutely.
Mm.
Pluto in Capricorn was about top down heavy structures, and it was about, you know, systems where people were being governed.
Yeah.
Now we've already moved into the age where it's power to the people, but it's more about identity in terms of individuality. But of course, there's always going to be the shadow aspects of that. I mean, I don't want to go off the topic, but you know, we can put ourselves in under labels and then become too obsessed with this sense of identity by being, I'm different because, rather than being a
Yeah,
collective where we celebrate things again through our heart and intuition. So it's not about the ego going, I'm this, you're that, and it's all about judgment. And I think sometimes that's where people can sort of get a bit misled, like all this labeling that people have been going so
yeah,
obsessed with.
yeah.
That to me can be the shadowistic side of things. There's nothing wrong with labeling, if it's helpful, but if
If
that's
it's
all we
helpful.
identify with, we can't
Yeah.
be, collective.
And also, do you think, or just say hi? We've got Monica on here, Anne and Jennifer. So we're just going to say hi to you. Thank you for
Hi.
joining us live. um, the Chiron, one of my favorites, as you know, is talking about the Chiron aspect in our charts, and I really believe that the Chiron is when we've really healed that part of us that most people call it the wounded healer, most astrologers do, that part of us that we've brought in to heal, when we
Mhm.
have kind of really, as the guys are saying, assimilated that and healed that part, that's when we're really truly aligned to our mission, right? What we
Yes,
chose to come in for. That's what I truly believe anyway about Chiron. And we've got that actually transiting and conjunct the north node, because obviously we've got the north node for 18 months, in Aries, which is our destiny, isn't it?
our
So
collective destiny.
our
Yeah,
collective destiny, yeah, our collective destiny. And Chiron is, I call them kissing each other because they're so close. So they're literally together in that. So we are we, pulling up um, pieces of our wounding so that we can be of more service to the collective, you know?
definitely. This
Mm,
is a time, especially with this full moon, it was definitely something that brought around that aspect of Virgo is about the details. Virgo is the
yeah,
ruler of the zodiac in terms of healing, because it's whilst as a healer, it's also you know the nurturing healer. So in order for us to be aware of that, that aspect will have come through with this full moon, so that we can actually look at where we need to heal so that we can move forward, because that collective destiny, that north node, is about where we're going to be moving forward to. And because Pluto's at its beginning degrees now, those aspects have been amplified
yeah,
because of that. And of course that's brought around a lot of despair in people, whether it's been through, sickness or emotional upheaval, and this isn't just something, just because it's happening, over the next sort of 7 days because of the moon. This is something that's come up because it's also coming up to show us what we need to let go of in order
yeah,
to move forward too, so that we can be of value in terms of our service and mission as we walk through the next 20 years, 20 so years, while
yeah,
Pluto
yeah.
is in Aquarius. Yeah.
And it dips down. There's two things I want to say. So the first thing is that Aries, I would see it, obviously it's the first sign, and I would see it as the identity. So is it questioning and bringing up parts of us around our identity and who we are in the world? And also, this whole Pluto and Aquarius, well, it dips back in September to Capricorn. So what what's going to happen then, when it dips back into Capricorn for a very small period of time before 19 years of being in Aquarius?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, I think the period between now and then is really the last hurrah, I would see it as.
Yeah,
It's about us really looking at the choices that we've made,
mm,
and the experiences that we've had that have led us to where we are right now,
mm,
and um, really it's about us embracing the fact that every single moment of every single day we can start afresh, you know, but it
yeah.
requires us to let go of those things that are really holding us back and being conscious of what those are, because
But they're going to
I
come up,
feel
Liam. I mean,
I,
we talk about it all the time, but they're going to come up, and they're going to come up in different ways. You know,
Yeah.
they might come up for someone, to do with their relationship. They might come up with someone to do with their body, their health, their physical health. Might come up to do with your, how you see yourself. Could be anything. Could be your job. Could be, couldn't it?
Yeah.
It could be to do with a parent. It could be anything. But it's coming up, and I think what's really important and what's really great
Mm.
that we can take responsibility for is we can question. We can go, oh, that's interesting. Why, like we did the other night, why has that come up?
Mm.
What's that about? What is it that I need to make acceptance to? What is it that I need to heal
And I
moving forward?
and I feel like what you've just said there, I was very much hearing identity. So
Yeah,
whatever aspect has come up through that, whether it's your relationship, whether it's yourself, whether it's to do with money, career, it's about how you identify because it's Chiron in Aries, how you
Aries.
identify
Yeah,
with yourself through
yeah,
that healing, so that you can actually walk through this healing process and say, am I coming, am I working now in terms of my energy, my frequency from my ego, which is,
yeah,
the ego is obviously healthy when you're using it for confidence and, and building structure. But it's not if we're just constantly in our heads and not
yeah.
living from our hearts or intuition. So I
Sure.
think that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
most important thing I feel here in terms of like how that's come up to show people how do I identify? How,
yeah,
obviously with the other transits like Pluto and Aquarius, it's like, how am
yeah,
I identifying with the people, the groups of people that I'm with? How are they, helping me keep my frequency high because we're on the same
yeah.
frequency, or are these people dragging me down and helping me lower my frequency
And I've
because I
out, I've,
haven't?
I've outgrown them. I've
Yeah,
outgrown them. Maybe I've
absolutely.
outgrown them. Yeah. And
Mm,
one of the things I'm showing this chart by the way, everybody, and this is my chart. So your chart placement will be different. It might be the same, but it will be different. And as you can see, I've got Chiron natally in Aries. Okay. And so you can imagine that this is called a Chiron return, isn't it, Liam? Like
yes, it is.
if you happen to have, and I know a lot of people in our soul family in the membership have got Chiron in Aries, right? No mistake,
Yeah.
right? And it's transiting, and so it's really highlighting, you know, really what you came in for, big time. And I've noticed that most definitely in my life, bringing the galactic channeling through on my YouTube channel, which perhaps ordinarily I would have just done in private sessions.
Mm,
So it's kind of that identity once again for humanity, which is what you're talking about. And my children's book, The Guardian Wings, which will be out soon, which is also because it's the house of the fifth house of children and creativity, right? So
yeah.
wherever you have your Chiron, I'm just looking at let's see if we can help anyone. So Jennifer Lee says, I've got Chiron in the eighth house. So we would have been looking there at, that is about death and rebirth, right? We know, don't
Yeah.
we?
Hmm.
Um, it's also about other people's money, right? So could you
Yeah.
just, Jennifer, could you say what sign it is? That would really help as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I know that helps us understand a bit more. But generally, it can be about the occult, right? It can be,
Hmm.
so if someone has Chiron in that placement, let's just say, for example, um, then what might they need to kind of heal?
And it's all, it's also the house of taboos and also the house of sex because it's ruled by
Yeah,
Scorpio.
of course.
So it
Yeah,
also involves those aspects. And each house is
yeah,
also governed by a part of the body. So we're going back to that
yeah.
Capricorn energy there again, which is about, what part of the body is that? So that would be around, our sexual organ area. So things may
Ah,
flare up in regard to that when
yes,
there's certain transits and stuff like that going. So you may, get flares up. Or you may have, like if you're a woman, you'll have uterus problems. You'll be
yeah,
running to the toilet
yeah,
or something like that, or just anything like that, but
yeah.
sickness, whatever. So there's always
That'd be
something that sort of
bladder,
flares
Liam.
up.
That'd be bladder if you're running to
Bladder,
the
sorry.
toilet, right?
Yeah, bladder.
So let's talk a little bit about, because I love this whole Neptune, which is massively coming up for me at the moment. But I love this Neptune in Pisces, and obviously we've got Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury all having a party together there. But we've also got
Yeah.
Neptune in Pisces, haven't we?
Well, let's talk about the party because I think there's something really important that's coming up
Yeah,
this week actually in regards to that. So you've got Saturn, Sun, and Mercury. So
yeah,
they're making a conjunction this week at 9 degrees of Pisces.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
that's
yeah,
going to be again drawing back to what we were saying before regarding, Chiron and,
yeah.
the full moon in Virgo and this healing. Everyone keeps using this word healing peak. You know, there's a huge
Well,
healing
it's
peak
my
that's happening
language,
for
isn't it? The healing peak of what's happening in us, from Met Health days. Yeah, yeah.
so there's
I'm
huge
having a
healing peak.
healing peak, right?
Peak.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's this
I'll
huge
explain that in a moment for people, but yeah.
there's
Mm.
this huge healing peak that's going on where I feel that because of the important aspect of Saturn, there's a serious focus on endings and completions, and
Uh,
that's what's coming up as well.
yeah.
So there's important decisions to be made at this time, which will also bring around a sense of depression and mental fatigue.
Well, depending on the house that it's in, right? So it's fourth house for me. It might be another house for somebody else. So it's highlighting my home, and it's highlighting my investment property right now. Yeah. So it's interesting how that's happening. But how would it? So should we quickly, run round for people? So if Pisces was your first house, you'd be looking at your identity, wouldn't you? Once again. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Second
Hmm.
house, money, how you earn your money,
Values.
values.
Yeah.
Third house, local community, your siblings, possibly, your neighbours.
Communication or publishing. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be publishing as well.
Yeah.
Could
Mhm.
be, could also be, your social media as well in this
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
Fourth house, home and family, roots, ancestors, situations, and it's also the house of your parents, right?
Yes, it is. And
Yeah,
ancestors. Yeah. So
and
it's a house of intuition.
ancestral.
Yeah.
Yeah, fifth house, we spoke about, but if it happens to be fifth house, it could be romance, but it could also be the house of children. It could be the house of creative flow, right?
New romance?
New romance, new romance. Um, Sixth house, health. So there might be a double whammy going on for people now. Health and also of service. Eighth house
Yes.
we spoke about just now, but to recap, death and rebirth, other people's money,
Hmm.
inheritance, property, buying and selling, that stuff.
And then the seventh house as well.
Oh, I forgot the seventh house.
Yeah.
How weird. Seventh house, long-term committed,
Hmm.
significant relationships.
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
real might be a shake up with significant relationships, such as marriages or contracts, work contracts, things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Important connections. Yeah.
Yeah, important connections. Ninth house. I mean, I love the ninth house because for me, it's about sharing your wisdom with the world. It's higher learning. It's long distance travel. That helps my Sagittarius
It's
rising a lot.
it's a house of law and order, and it's also the house of publishing.
Uh, so, yeah. So a lot of people are right now who are aligned to their spiritual mission are bringing forward information to share with the world, right? So
Yes.
high communication.
Because it's also about philosophies as well, that high
Yeah.
learning that you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. Love that
Tenth
house.
house, our
Career.
public image, our career. But if you haven't got a career, it's also about public image. So you might go from being engaged to married, you might go from married to divorce, you might go from, single to commit, So
Yeah,
it's also your public image, but I think it's so much more about career, and
yeah,
about kind of being out there and being seen.
yeah.
11th house,
Social
well,
status. Yeah.
I know this one very well because I have a stellium there. But 11th house, group, society, also friendship groups, but teaching, collective, humanity,
Yeah.
would you say?
Absolutely.
But I run loads of groups, so it makes sense that I've got a stellium there, and it's about humanity. And the 12th house, well, good luck on that one. That's deep transformative healing, right?
Absolutely. The House of Pisces. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, because it's the last, yeah, because the last house. And
But it's the house of dreams, but it can also be the house of illusions and prisons. So
see,
depending
yeah.
on how we access the information, of course, with all houses, there's always going to be the shadow, and the way you can see the shadow, just so that
Mm,
people are aware of that, is whatever house you're looking at, you always look opposite, directly opposite, and that will be
yeah.
whatever that house is, the shadow aspects of that will reflect back to you.
But also, so if you're looking at your ascendant, you would
Hmm.
say, right, this is about me, but the seventh house is about the other. So you could say, this is how I see myself, but this is how others see me. Yeah, in relationship, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at the first house, I'd say that's how people perceive you.
Yeah,
Okay. And then if you're looking opposite at the seventh house, you would be attracted more to people that are in in that sort of realm because it's a bit like a dinner table, the whole of the astrological cycle.
yeah,
So if you're
yeah,
sitting opposite somebody, you sort of have
yeah,
that sort of direct connection with them. But
yeah,
then the sort of shadowistic side, like let's just say you were rising Leo,
yeah,
your shadow side would be Aquarian. So Leo is very outgoing, it wants to be center stage, but the shadow side of that would be Aquarian. So you'd sort of go introverted. You don't want to talk to anybody,
I
you know.
see.
So
Yeah,
it'd be sort of
yeah,
like, pulling the reins and going, I don't want to talk. I'm switching off from everybody, that sort of shadowistic aspect of
yeah.
the other sign.
That's a good
So,
point. That's a good point.
mm,
So, so, so this Neptune, because we digressed, of course, which we always do, Liam. This Neptune in Pisces, what do you feel? Because we know it's it's about the dream, isn't it? It's about and people are having dreams at the moment. I mean, Sarah
mm,
told me, my 16-year-old daughter, who you know very well, but she told me about a dream she had when she got
oh,
up this morning, and so they're all lots of people having deep dreams at the moment. So Neptune is the kind of planet of dreams, but also illusion, right?
it is, it is. So
Yeah. Did you fall off your
again,
chair then?
yes, well, my phone fell off.
Oh, your phone. I was going to say either you fell off the chair or something fell off the chair. That's funny.
Very, very, very funny. So, oh, here it's going again. Sorry, I'm so sorry about that. I'll actually hold this now. So here we go.
Oh, it's
So
funny.
what's happening at the moment in regard
Yeah,
to Neptune is
yeah.
um, it's really bringing up a lot of stuff to do with how people perceive, their dream. We all have
Mm.
aspirations, we all have dreams, and that's really healthy to have that. But are
Yeah,
those dreams in alignment with your soul's calling? Are
yeah,
they of value in terms of, what you're contributing, Pluto in Aquarius, to the collective? Or
yeah.
are they egotistical dreams and aspirations which are only about self-serving? Pluto in Aquarius at the anoretic degree, I'd say. That's very much sort of like
And it's
highlighted
there.
there.
It's there. Like if we look at the
Yeah.
chart, if anyone's looking, we've got a few people on here. What's that? The Irish singing carnivore DJ. Do you know who this is, Liam? The Irish singing carnivore DJ. Hi and thank you from Galway, Ireland. Oh,
Oh, that's lovely.
I do love an Irish accent. Oh, I love an Irish accent. I do. You're very welcome, everybody. Yeah. So if you're watching this is an anoretic degree is the last degree, isn't it? It's like a real like the end degree of a house.
Yeah. So it brings out all of the darker elements, I would say, but also, it can be very, very positive because it can bring out all the healing aspects depending on on
Ah,
how it's viewed,
yeah, yeah.
and the work that you've done, of course, because it can be very rewarding.
See, I
Um,
think that's a really good point because we've talked about this a lot recently, but also last year, and we were saying towards the end of the last year that what's really important is to do the healing work, okay? Because we knew that there would be some really big opportunities for transformation this year. And
Yeah,
so, I've noticed that, and there's no judgment with what I'm saying here, by the way. I've noticed that the more work that we've done on ourselves, meaning myself, clients, so on, the more work that they've done, um, the easier it is for them to create abundance and opportunities and align to why they're truly here.
absolutely. Yeah, that's such a great point to you know to make. And for people that don't really understand astrology, and for people that are very very new to all of this, you
Yeah.
know, it can be very overwhelming when you're talking about house systems and signs and everything. It took
Yeah.
me a while to get my head around, but the important thing here is you know take what resonates with you, leave the rest.
Yeah.
you know, and don't be too overwhelmed with anything at all. You
I
know,
think a good place to stop the share actually. I think also that I love the science of everything, right, Liam, as you know, being a spiritual scientist. But I what I love about it is that astrology for me is just like a map, but actually you can you can override that, I feel. Like you can see what's going on in your chart and you can actually focus on the real positive aspects of it. So you can really like if you feel that there's something negative in your chart, you don't have to focus on it, but you're
no,
aware of it. So then you can actually do the work around it. And I wish I'd known, at 27 when I had my spiritual awakening, I wish I'd known about the Saturn return, right? I wish
yeah,
I'd known about it because then if I'd have known about it, I would have been like, oh, that's why I'm having visitations in the night, from someone who took their life 3 months ago, that kind of thing. But
mm,
actually, if we didn't know, maybe we're not meant to know that stuff, maybe we're not meant to know. But astrology is such a beautiful map, don't you think?
it is. I've always seen it as like, first of all, it's the blueprint of the soul because people have always said, well, what is astrology? Okay, well, to me, it's like the birth of the soul comes through at that exact moment, and it just
Snapshot.
creates this picture, a bit like a drop of rain entering the ocean. You enter the collective, and
Yeah.
it's a snapshot of that exact time
Peak.
and place. Yeah, absolutely. And then, that's individual just to you,
Yeah.
and it becomes a blueprint then of the soul. And we can
Yeah.
supersede that blueprint by looking at the different aspects and transits, and we can always, self-improve. So it's a tool of self-improvement.
Yeah. I really believe that. And I also notice, I've spoken to you about this, is I notice I'm kind of getting intuition and information before it's happening in my chart. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like I'm already feeling the energy of before the full moon or before an eclipse or before something else. And it's almost like
Mm,
I get the heads up
yeah.
on clearing, clearing stuff out of the way. But I suppose that goes hand in hand with holding space for people, in the soul family and so on. Is that I kind of almost need to clear whatever's in the way so that I can be a channel to help others clear what's in the way. Does that make sense?
And absolutely, and and going back to what you were saying earlier, about the why is the astrology so helpful and important, and so um, enlightening, is because it can help us move away from the what's in it for me into the
Yeah,
what's in it for all of us
yeah,
aspect.
yeah,
So again, we're moving away from that egoic aspect of grasping to you know how to be of service. And
absolutely.
that's
Yeah,
a really really important thing. And sometimes people think, well, what have I got to offer? It's very hard for some people to understand you know how, apart from working through life, paying the bills, all the monotonous things that we have to, how you can be of service. When you look at something through the eyes of astrology, it shows you how unique you are and what gifts you have to
yeah.
be of service.
Yeah. And that's where I feel that that Chiron bit really comes in. And
Mm-mm.
I get excited by that. And I don't know if this is something that I've spoken to you about, but the degree of just because Chiron's very active at the moment, we'll talk about it, but the degree of Chiron,
Yeah,
I always feel that that was a significant age. So mine is 3, for example,
yeah,
and I nearly drowned in a pond at 3, right?
yeah.
So, in that moment, it was like, well, okay, am I going to be pulled out, or not? Yeah, and I was
Mm,
really young. So, that Chiron wounding part got activated at that age. All right.
absolutely. And we're talking
Yeah.
about the degree here of Chiron. Yeah,
Yeah. So if
yeah,
I've got 3 degrees and then somebody else might have 15 degrees and somebody
yeah.
else might have, that's just kind of how I intuitively see it. But
I
I
do
know that
too.
not
Yeah,
everyone does. I know
yeah.
that people don't talk about that so much.
Absolutely. And
Mm,
again, going back to Susan's work, a lot of the work that Susan does there is about healing that inner child. So there will have been something
absolutely.
that will have happened to us when we were younger. And sometimes we're not even aware of that. So again, we
Yeah.
can use astrology to pinpoint that. And then
Yeah.
there's like this awakening of like, hold on a second, actually, I do remember something happening there, but we may have actually built this egoic structure in our mind to forget.
And like a shell, we always talk about, like um the heart field, like the
Yeah,
heart field holds all of that frequency, doesn't it?
yeah,
And we're sending that heart field out to the universe. Well, if we've got bits of dust in it, or we've got a jacket, like we're going like that because we can't possibly, then we're not able to send that message out to the universe. So therefore, those people that need to find you can't find you.
no.
Frequency is not that match. So frequency match one of
My
your songs,
singles.
one of your
Yeah,
singles, one of
absolutely.
your tracks.
Yeah.
Frequency match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And
Um,
it
it's true, right?
yeah, and it is about a frequency match. I mean, I just want to just speak a little bit about the simplicity of life, and in terms of how astrology can be really important for that. And it's just,
Yeah.
you know, what is my calling? Where am I going? Sometimes it's not as obvious
Yes.
to people to everybody. But I'd just like to draw people's attention to the fact that sometimes if your frequency is elevated and you're more happier within yourself, and that is about being conscious, it's about accepting yourself, loving yourself, so that you can shine your light. Okay, if you're like this, you can go out into the world and you may be interacting with people, and you'll see people and they could be angry, or they could be passing your path, and you may smile. That smile could have potentially saved somebody's life that was
Yeah.
going to take suicide
And
or
you
do
don't know.
something really dangerous. And it's completely bang.
Yeah.
You've made a frequency connection with them, whether it's a frequency match in terms of like the same frequency. Your higher frequency will always cancel out lower frequency, and it
Yes.
will diminish it. So by
Yeah.
being that, you are being a light worker,
Mm.
casting your light out into the world from creator source. And that is the magic of frequency work. And that
Yeah.
is where we're going to in terms of new earth. And
Yeah.
that's what we
And
create.
it
That's
is
what
the
we're creating in
frequency.
every moment.
I love that. And we've got, and that's a really good thing for people to hear, is that you might not know, you might not have a title, you might not have a job, but actually what I believe, I believe like the 3 pillars of abundance, like we like know thyself, know who you are, right? Then know you're not on your own, so you've got your guides, and know why you're here. But why you're here can actually be that you are actually remembering who you are. So as you remember who you are, you're like, oh, actually, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. That's okay. But actually, I know that there's an important reason why I'm here. But I don't know quite what it is yet, and that's all right. But I'm open to that. But by
Yeah.
keeping your frequency um, in a space where you are, thank you, the guides are saying, are feeling love, so whether it's with an animal, you find that feeling of love with an animal or a child or the nature when you look at the sky, probably not here in the UK, but you know, if you see a nice blue sky somewhere, not today, you're in, you know, you're in love with nature or the sea or going for a walk in the park. Those kind of things like that connects you, the guides are saying, to your divine source of remembering. So
Yeah.
by your divine source of remembering, you can just walk about the world and know that you are of service.
Yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think that that's absolutely, such an important point that you raised there because it just drills into like everybody, anywhere, whoever you are, you have a special reason to be on this earth. And it will always, always come back to frequency, and it doesn't matter whether you're a spiritual teacher and you're doing loads of stuff with loads of people, or you're an independent person that's going about your day-to-day business, or you could be caring for an elderly relative or anything. You are an equal because it's all about frequency, and frequency is about the collective. And we all, if we work on a frequency basis of spreading love, light, and joy in the world, then what are we creating? We're creating the new earth in every waking moment, in every walking moment.
Everywhere,
And
every
that's
walking. I like to see it's like sparkling feet. So
yeah,
you could imagine yourself, you know, on those days when perhaps you don't feel the best, you know, because we all have those days, that you could just imagine that those sparkly feet that you have, that energy that you have is making a difference on this earth. And this earth is transforming into a more sparkly earth because of
yeah,
your feet.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And you know the guide show me just a picture here of all of the kind of pillars of light. So like we're all pillars of light. And I remember when the kids were growing up, they're obviously 16 and nearly 15 now, but when they were growing up and they were going to primary school, the first school, they I would say to them, if you imagine that every single one of you in that classroom is a light just like you, and I helped them to understand that, you know, even if someone was unkind or if there was something going on, just imagine that they are actually a light as well. You know, then it helped them understand, you know, what who everyone was
Yeah.
without judgment. And I think if we can remember who we are, then it allows us to kind of let go of judgment
Mm.
of others. And I think that's massively about the new earth.
Absolutely. So Susan raised some really good points there. So, judgment is one of the aspects which is really pivotal, and that includes judging yourself. So if you're going out into the world
That,
thinking,
isn't it?
playing it small, and I
Yeah,
don't mean egoically, I mean it's about playing it small by thinking you're not good enough,
yeah,
then you're going to
not
vibrate
worthy.
that back to you. But also, it is about, really tuning into, so we have judgment there and tuning into the higher aspects of who we truly are and why we are here.
Yeah.
So I'm just receiving like some information here that's just telling me that, we are always enough.
Yeah,
We are always enough, you
yeah.
know, and it's about how we react to things. So,
And that's the mirror.
reaction.
That's
Yes,
the mirror. So, you know, we're looking at our mirror, aren't we, all the time? And as we look at our mirror, we're seeing what we believe.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, you know,
Three,
we are that mirror. I think
we
that's
are
such an easy way of seeing it. And then it takes the judgment away because
absolutely.
we
And
know what's needed.
Pluto in Aquarius was all about reaction, how you reacted. It was 3D stuff. So it's
Mm,
about how you reacted
so
to things outside.
fun.
I shout at you, I name call you, you
Yeah,
react back to me in a negative
yeah,
way. We're talking like playground antics here.
yeah,
Higher perspective. Somebody does something, instead of operating from the mind, you're in your heart, you observe without reaction. You take a moment to pause, and
yeah.
then you can see, like from the eagle's perch, looking over the situation. How do I react to this situation from a place of consciousness?
I think I like the expression, we are but mere Shakespeare, we are but mere actors upon a stage of life. But I like it. I like that, but I also prefer to say, and I'll maybe have a word with him about this, but I would prefer it to be that we are but mere audience members viewing the stage of life, because then we are, then we're not in it. We're not in it, as you said, we're viewing it, and it's like we're
Yes.
in the audience and we're going, do I want to get on that stage, or is that kind of like, nah, I've had enough of that, I'm going to just stay back here and observe, right?
And that's what creates choice. New
Yeah,
Earth is about choices. It's
yeah,
not about reacting from a place outside of you
yeah, exactly.
where you're immediately drawn into this, drama of somebody else's, existence.
Yeah,
As you create from a place of, of love and consciousness, there
yeah,
can only be one direction, and it is love, you know.
yeah. Yeah, so my tangible experience, I'm really authentic, as you know, Liam, but I'm really authentic with my community as well. Is I was given a 3D experience yesterday, where I received a big bill from my investment property, and it's called service charge here in the UK, and I looked at it and I'm like, and my intuition was, this just doesn't feel completely aligned with honesty, right? So I looked at it and I was like, actually, it's not about the amount it is, although that was a consideration because it was much bigger than last year, almost 40% more. I was like, that doesn't feel right. And I stepped back and I'm like, okay, I was in my kind of human part. My human part was, this is not fair and whatever. And I was like, what's that bringing up in me? And for me, it was being able to trust. Like, so this had been presented,
Yeah.
all the figures were rounded up. Well, no bills are rounded up, right? No one offers a bill that's rounded up. So I'm like, that doesn't feel authentic. And then I thought to myself, always being someone who has to be the voice for others, which I have no problem with. That's what I signed up for, right?
Yeah.
Um, Actually organizing this is going to help so many other people, because there are so many people in that complex that own a property, as I do, but
Mm,
actually perhaps have never questioned the authenticity of what they're being presented every year, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
So thinking, yes, it's partly about me, but also partly about others.
Mm,
So I think that we have to look at what's coming up, right? Okay, partly about me. Why did I attract that? How does it make me feel? Yeah. And that's important. That's a tangible thing that happened. And then thinking outside of it, like, okay, what's the bigger reason for why this has happened?
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
That yeah, that's really important because we can often get, caught up in the whole drama of a situation, which is going back to the whole
yeah.
3D thing and,
Yeah.
oh, playing the victim mentality,
We
that
could
victim
do.
consciousness,
Yeah.
poor me, why did this happen to me? Or blaming other people,
Yes.
for things. They did this to me, or this has happened to me, and this is not, rather than it being a bit like, how you've been able to look at this opportunity that's presented itself to you,
I saw it
you know,
as, yeah, so rather than saying poor me or oh my goodness, they've done that to me, I was like,
yeah,
this is interesting. This doesn't actually feel an integrity at all. And I thought every single person will have received the same letter. And there are many flats, in that complex, at least 20, I think. And so each person will have received the same letter. And I'm like, I don't feel integrity. There's not an energy of integrity with this. So yeah, so basically, because I'm all for integrity and honesty, I think it was important that the meeting with the solicitor happens tomorrow, so that this can be brought out into the open. And you said quite rightly, which was really interesting, was that's the Neptune,
yeah,
uncovering something that is an illusion, right?
absolutely.
Mm.
So the lower aspects of Neptune is, that smoke and mirrors,
Yes,
where there's been deception and,
indeed.
masking of things, masking of integrity and truth. And then the higher aspect is connecting to source energy through our higher aspects and our dreams. So that's beautiful. And as you said, the intuition just flows through then, you
Yeah,
know, um,
yeah.
and and again,
I'm
what
wondering
is
if it's the same
intuition?
question. I'm wondering if we could take so Anne saying I love hearing you both laugh. Oh God, we laugh all the time, Liam, don't we? She says that giggles are so healing along with the side of the heavy stuff, right? Yeah. Um, Monica says, what's the difference between an astrologer and an astronomer?
Okay, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
good question, right? Yeah.
Do you want me to answer?
Hmm.
Okay. So, um, astrology is the understanding and and the study of transits and planets,
Yeah.
in terms of, how they connect in to, by what we're doing. But there's so many different
Human
levels of
evolution.
astrology as well.
The guy
Yeah.
was saying human evolution, so it's like how it allows us to evolve through the planets. Astronomy, I
Astronomy is all about the science behind the planet. So it's about, what it's
yeah,
made up of. I mean,
yeah,
these are all
the
very 3D
gases,
type stuff.
the rings,
Astrology, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It's all
yeah,
about the more denser side of things, the scientific
yeah,
side of things in terms of that. Whereas astrology is sort of working with, how things, focus in terms of like a universal basis.
yeah.
And obviously, as you mentioned before, intuitive astrology and galactic astrology.
Galactic
Yeah.
astrology, yeah. Because we put a bit of that. I don't know if you've seen anyone who's watching. There was a video. Was it my live last time? I can't remember. And I showed the chart with Atlantis in it, the Atlantean point. And
Mm.
the day I showed it, it was transiting at the exact point that I showed it in my chart.
Synchronicities.
Yeah,
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 this is amazing.
synchronicity. So,
The word synchronicity is why it's so important because, you synchronicity does show you that you're on the right path. And
yeah,
there's so many different ways that can show up for people. For people that don't understand about synchronicities, it's not, it's like somebody could say something and, it can really mean a lot to the person in terms of something they're working through. You can be seen through numbers, through all sorts of identifiers there, but they'll become personal to you because that's how you communicate with the universe. That's what's so amazing.
mm. I think we should just see if anyone wants to ask a question, and then I think we should just do. I think I might get the guides to give us a guided meditation. Something that was really fun the other day. I was working with a private client, and we did some cosmic ordering, and I'm feeling
Mm.
like that would be really fun. To just do one. So with the client, one of my soul coaching clients, we did like six. We got six of the guides to cosmic ordering, but let's just do one. Should we have fun with that? And
Yeah, it sounds brilliant.
yeah, yeah. So it doesn't look like anyone's got any questions. So that's good. So right, okay. So let's just all. We've already created a sacred space, Liam, haven't we? So
Yes, we have.
let's just all bring our very own guides in. So we'll invite in the Council of Light. And I hear them already. We're very pleased to assist you. So that's really cool. And I want you just to ground into your Earth star under your feet, everybody. Good. Take a beautiful deep breath in and breathe out. And just really feel that sense of centering, just a few moments just for you. And we'll connect in with our soul star above our head and just feel that energy flowing, a beautiful stream of consciousness coming down, reminding you that you are consciousness itself. And let's imagine a beautiful bubble of light around you, almost like you are in the spotlight. Fantastic. So just consider for a moment something that you would really like to create in your life, and perhaps you need some assistance with it. And we always have to remember that whatever we're asking for, we ask for it to be a collective vision as well. So if you perhaps wanted to start your practice, or you wanted to travel, or you wanted to move home, or whatever it might be, let's give our heart to humanity. So we're actually asking for something that we want to create in our life, and that is going to be helping to serve this new earth, okay? So if that means it brings your frequency to a higher frequency, that's amazing. If it brings more joy into your life, more happiness. But we're coming from a place of understanding that we're opening our heart, okay? So let's just think for a moment of something you want to create. Okay, so hold that intention. And I want you to imagine that in a moment, you're going to notice that you're in a beautiful room. And you're in this room and you walk in and there is a table. And around the table, you're so surprised because there are many guides and they are all so happy to see you. They are delighted that you're here. They're always talking to you, they're always assisting you, but they're even more excited that you have actually intended to come and meet them. So there is a chair there ready for you, and it feels like it's almost like the important chair. It's like a throne. It's like where you are the important one, okay? So I want you just to imagine that you're sitting down at the chair at the table, and it's a bit like a conference. It's a little bit like, you know, a meeting, and each one of the guides have their clipboards with them, and they have a beautiful pen, and their pens are golden. And you might look around the table to see that some of these guides that you have and your angels, some of them are galactic. So they might not completely look like angels or guides that you've seen before. They may be from other dimensions. Because remember, we have been everything. We are multidimensional beings. So I want you to invite a guide to stand up, and they are the guide that is going to assist you with your desire. So just watch as one of the guides stands. And of course, they are over the moon that you are here. And they're going to talk to you about what you wish to create. So I want you to have a conversation with them and just listen. And don't worry if you can't hear anything, because the intention of being there is perfect. So listen to what they have to say to you, and then we're going to do some healing. Okay. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to ask for anything in our energy field that is in the way of us creating that aspect in our life, what we desire. And we're going to invite the guides, not only the one guide representing, but all of the guides. We're going to invite them to just release this energy from us. We're giving them permission. We are asking for them to remove any energy that stops us aligning to our heart's desire. And so just allow that to happen now. Fantastic. And now what I'm guided to do is the guides are saying that you're going to receive a gift. So that particular guide, or another guide actually, whichever, is going to give you a gift. So just receive that gift and place it in your heart. And then we're going to thank the guides for being there, knowing that they're always there. We just forget sometimes to ask, and knowing that you can come back to this beautiful conference at any time you wish to create something. This is your cosmic ordering conference. And you find yourself walking out of that room with so much love in that room for you, so much honoring. Bring yourself back to where you're sitting. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Beautiful.
I hope you had fun with that. Oh, makes my eyes water.
Mm.
Oh, I've got lots of energy in the back of my head. The guides are really. I'm just going to see if they've got something to say. Mm. They're saying they would like me to do this more often with people to bring through a union, they're saying, of fun, of laughter, of enlightenment, so that people can live their days and realizing that life does not have to be too serious. That's what they're saying. They're saying they want more lightheartedness on a spiritual journey. Um, which is amazing. Thank you, thank you. So, Liam, any last words from you? We've been here like nearly an hour, over an hour actually. We've been here. Is there any last words that you want to say?
Yeah, I think something really important that I feel has been like, a real, jolt for me is just, you know, we all have good days and we all have bad days,
Yeah,
and we're constantly working between, the challenges of what it's like to, to live in a 3D world. And sometimes, you know, you'll have things that happen in your life that really, can challenge you on a really, really, really deep basis. And you can sometimes get into that sort of, have I made the right decision? Or you can feel like you've made terrible mistakes.
yeah,
But in the wider scheme of things, you can always start afresh. And once you've started on this journey,
yeah.
you can always, always, always come back to the light. It's all the doors are always open to you. And whilst it's like that, you are living authentically, you are living from your heart and your soul. And, it's so easy to get drawn into the drama. I mean,
Yeah.
all you have to do is look at the TV and you can get drawn into what's going on with the wars, what's going on with and it can just, and it reminds us to forget who we are. And we
Mm,
are more than that, and I think that that's a really important thing to just remember. Have compassion for those that aren't awakened, and the very fact that we are awakened and that we have choices, we can always choose the light. And if we can spread that a bit more and show people that being authentically yourself gives them permission to be themselves, then we
Marianne
just,
Williamson. Yeah.
yeah,
Who am I not to shine when, give permission for others to shine? Um,
absolutely.
and also that's so like, I like an analogy of, actually taking your jacket off and underneath is your soul, and your soul knows exactly why they're here. They know exactly why they're experiencing what they experience. They know exactly why they've met certain people in their life, like you and I, our story of how we met. The house that we're living in, the journey, the country rather that we chose to be born to. Our soul knows all of it. Our soul knows why our bank account's like it is, knows why, our soul knows everything. So if we take our jacket off just for a moment and imagine, what would my soul know about this in this moment?
Mm,
We're connecting with love because who
absolutely.
we are is love. And so it's just reminding ourselves that this jacket is just the vehicle for love.
Absolutely. And I think that that's just such a lovely way to end things.
Mm.
Remember who you are.
Ah, know thyself.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you so much for joining us on this live stream. And if you're watching it on the replay, um, let us know that you when you send a message, put replay. Let us know. But please let us know what you thought of it. If you want us to do it again, we've got an eclipse coming up soon, so maybe we'll talk about the eclipse. It's coming up. That might be a good thing actually because it's in the
Yeah.
South Node, right?
Yeah.
So
Woo.
it might bring up some interesting stuff for people. Much love. Liam, thank you so much for joining me on my channel, which was an impromptu thing to do, which I love.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your beautiful energy. Thanks everybody. Let us know
And
how.
thank you to you all. Love
Yeah,
you all.
yeah. Thanks. Thanks everyone. Bye for now. Bye.